The story I'll share today is from my own experience during my freshman year of college when I worked part-time. The story is called The Female Ghost in the Bubble Tea Shop. At that time, I had a lot of free time because as a freshman, there wasn't much to study. So, I decided to find a part-time job. I found a bubble tea shop that was about to open, and I applied for the job. The shop mostly sold takeout drinks. It was a very small place with only a few square meters. The advantage of this design was that it saved on rent for the owner. On opening day, the shop was packed, but the shop size was extremely small, probably just about 2 to 2.5 meters wide. The layout was such that, upon entering, the left side was where the employees would make drinks, and there was a storage area behind it. The space was cramped, with 2 restrooms and just enough space to place chairs and some tools. What was strange about the restrooms was that, while the men's restroom was simple with a small mirror and white lighting, the women's restroom had a larger space with a full-body mirror and dim yellow lighting. When I first saw this, it felt odd, but I didn't think much of it. At that time, one of my coworkers, who was 2 years older than me, was extremely sensitive to spiritual matters. He could easily sense the presence of ghosts, and he would often talk about it. The shop had been doing well until one afternoon when I was working from noon to 5 p.m. The shop wasn't very busy, so only 2 employees were scheduled. I was in charge of making drinks, and my coworker was responsible for serving customers. The restrooms are on the same side as the drink counter, so I couldn't see them, but the customers sitting outside and my coworker could see the restroom doors. That afternoon, a woman came in to buy a drink and sat down in front of me, waiting. After I finished making her drink, I handed it to my coworker to serve to her. But then, something strange happened. My coworker suddenly froze and dropped the drink. He had looked towards the restroom and was visibly startled. He said he had seen a woman in a traditional BABA dress walking through the women's restroom door. He described her as having a blank, lifeless expression. I was shocked and immediately asked him if he was sure. He confirmed he had seen it too. My coworker, who was already terrified of ghosts, called the shop owner immediately to tell him what had happened. The owner wasn't surprised and said, "Oh, I know. Just change the light to a different color." This was the only explanation I got, but made me feel even more uneasy. Later, the owner placed incense in the storage area, and it wasn't long before strange things began happening. Whenever we didn't perform rituals or didn't pray to the ghost, things would go wrong, like the tapioca pearls sticking together or getting ruined. We were all frightened, but we kept working because the job paid well and the environment was friendly. The owner later promoted me to be the shift leader, which meant I had to manage the team and close the shop at the end of the day. Part of my responsibility was to perform rituals, like offering incense and burning money for the spirit every night, especially on full moon days. Over time, I became more and more scared. I would perform the ritual, then go home late at night to study for my exams. One night, while studying at home, I smelled a strong incense odor. It was the same smell as the incense I had burned at the shop. The smell was overpowering, and my room felt suffocating. I tried to ignore it, but then the fan at my feet suddenly stopped working, and it broke. I didn't know what was going on anymore. The fear became overwhelming, and I decided to quit my job. Later, one of the new managers went into the women's restroom and said he saw the ghost of a woman standing in front of the mirror, staring at him. He was so frightened he fainted. This confirmed for me that there was indeed something strange happening in the shop. From then on, every time I worked late shifts, I had to make sure the lights and everything were turned off, and I had to perform the ritual to keep the spirit appeased. It was a routine, but the fear never really left me. One day, I had to ask the shop owner about the spirit, and she explained that the woman had committed suicide in the restroom when she was pregnant due to family problems. She had died in the very place where the restroom stood. The owner said that as long as we performed the rituals, the spirit wouldn't harm anyone. However, this didn't make the experience any less terrifying. Eventually, my fear became too much, but the experience still haunted me. This is a story about my time working at that bubble tea shop. If you've had similar experiences, feel free to share them with me. Bye for now.